Welcome back to the Japan FinTech Observer. Get ready for a quick hit of the latest news in Japanese finance and fintech. We're diving into the headlines, breaking down the trends, and leaving you with the insights you need to stay ahead of the curve. Let's go.
At the monetary policy meeting held today, the Policy Board of the Bank of Japan decided, by a 7-2 majority vote, to set the following guideline for money market operations for the intermeeting period. The bank will encourage the uncollateralized overnight call rate to remain at around 0.5%. In its outlook for economic activity and prices, the Bank of Japan stated, Japan's economic growth is likely to be modest, as trade and other policies in each jurisdiction lead to a slowdown in overseas economies and to a decline in domestic corporate profits and other factors, although factors such as accommodative financial conditions are expected to provide support. Thereafter, Japan's economic growth rate is likely to rise, with overseas economies returning to a moderate growth path. The year-on-year rate of increase in the Consumer Price Index, CPI, all items less fresh food, is likely to decelerate to a level below 2% through the first half of fiscal 2026, with the waning of the effects of the rise in food prices, such as rice prices. Meanwhile, underlying CPI inflation is likely to be sluggish, mainly affected by the growth pace of the economy. Thereafter, since it is projected that a sense of labor shortage will grow as the economic growth rate rises, and that medium to long-term inflation expectations will rise, it is expected that underlying CPI inflation and the rate of increase in the CPI, all items less fresh food, will increase gradually and, in the second half of the projection period, be at a level that is generally consistent with the price stability target. Comparing the projections with those presented in the previous Outlook for Economic Activity and Prices Outlook report, the projected real GDP growth rates and the projected year-on-year rates of increase in the CPI, all items less fresh food, are more or less unchanged. There are various risks to the outlook. In particular, it still remains highly uncertain how overseas economic activity and prices will react to trade and other policies in each jurisdiction. It is therefore necessary to pay due attention to the impact of these developments on financial and foreign exchange markets and on Japan's economic activity and prices. With regard to the risk balance, risks to economic activity are skewed to the downside for fiscal 2026. Risks to prices are generally balanced. With the price stability target of 2%, the bank will conduct monetary policy as appropriate in response to developments in economic activity and prices as well as financial conditions, from the perspective of sustainable and stable achievement of the target. The next monetary policy meeting will take place on December 18th and 19th, 2025.